Good morning, friends. Welcome back to my channel. I am Alecia. It is so good to see you. I'm so happy to have y'all here. I'm really looking forward to spending some time together today. We are going to play in the studio. I've put together just a few Halloween crafts for us to work on today. We aren't super big on, Halloween in general, and especially not decorating, like spooky or gory. So I kept all of the decor this year for our Halloween crafts pretty kind of on the cutesy, whimsical side of things. So I'm really looking forward to hanging out and spending some time crafting. So without further ado, let's head on into the studio and whip up, brew up some Halloween crafts. For our first project today, we are going to make this cute little pumpkin pillow. So you will just need a pillow cover, or you could sew your own, some fabric in coordinating colors or mixy-matchy colors, however you want, and you will also need some batting. And I am just using cotton batting here that is fairly thin. So I'm just going to trace out our shapes onto the batting, and you're going to do this with your pumpkin face, your witch hat, and the pumpkin shape. And I will have a free downloadable link in the description box for y'all, so you can create these for yourself if you would like. So after we get these all traced on to our fabric pieces and our batting pieces, we're going to cut everything out. And here I am, just because I wanted to make the face black, I'm using chalk to trace this on because my pen and pencil wouldn't work. And here's a little trick for y'all. You can sharpen chalk in just a regular pencil sharpener on like the bigger part of the sharpener. And this is a great trick for tracing patterns. So after we get all these patterns cut out, traced on, we're going to go ahead and cut them out, and then we will move on to the next step. Next, we are going to glue all of our pieces together. So we're going to start by just using some clear tacky glue here. And this is good for fabric, or you can just use regular fabric glue as well. This is just all-purpose tacky glue. So we're going to glue our fabric pieces to all of our batting pieces. And then we are also going to glue everything to the pillow cover. And I'll lay out all of the pieces and get them kind of how I want them on the pillow cover before setting them with glue. Then I'm going to take it to my sewing machine and just stitch all around the edges, just to give it kind of that finished look and just kind of polish it off. But if you don't have a sewing machine, you could just stop with the gluing part, and you'll have a perfectly cute pillow. This is what our cute little pillow looks like after it's been stitched around the edges. You could also hand stitch this if you don't have a sewing machine. I really think this came out very, very cute. For our second project today, we are going to make a really cute witch hat. I wanted to make this to actually sit on top of one of my cute little carved pumpkins for the front porch. So you will just need some fabric and a pattern, and I got my pattern off of Etsy, and I will try to put that link down below for y'all. This is actually a very easy pattern, and if you do not have a sewing machine, you could actually use fabric glue to glue this entire hat together, and it will work just great. So here I am just cutting out the pattern, and to cut the center, I'm just going to fold it and make a little slit so that I can easily get my scissors in there to go around. And for the brim part of this hat, you do need to cut 2 pieces of fabric. And then for the cone part, the top part of the hat, You only need one piece of fabric, but you have to cut it on the fold. So you need to make sure that you have a piece of fabric big enough and then place your pattern on the fold. I'm just going to pin it in place so that I can easily cut it without the pattern moving around. And I am using a coordinating fabric here, but you could use the same fabrics for both the brim and the top if you prefer. Then once these are cut out, I am going to cut the same pattern on some fusible interfacing. But I do want to just point out that when I am this is the fusible interfacing that I'm using, and it's a medium weight. And when you cut your pattern out for this, you want to cut the fusible facing slightly smaller than your actual pattern so that when you go to iron it, you don't actually get any sticky stuff on your iron. Because if there's any of this sticking out beyond your fabric, it will make a mess of your iron. Trust me, I've made that mistake before. So anyway, I'm just going to cut this all out and then take it to my iron and fuse it all together before we head to the sewing machine. Here you can see how my fusible interfacing is slightly smaller than my pattern. That's kind of what I was referring to when I said to cut it slightly smaller. And if you are unsure what side of your fusible facing goes to the fabric, first of all, you want to iron this onto the wrong side of your fabric. And most fusible facing has either like a bumpy texture or a super glossy texture. And that's the side that you want to go down on the fabric. And this is what it looks like after it has been ironed together. And now I'm just going to take the top of this and sew my seam allowance together, and I'm going to do the same thing on the brim part. I'm just going to sew all the way around, but if you don't have a sewing machine, you can use glue to do this step. When sewing your brim together, you just want to sew the outside edge. Leave the center unsewn so that you can flip it right side out. Now we are going to, once it's been sewed together, I'm going to cut some little notches out of this, and this is going to just help us when we go to flip right sides out. You can see where I've got all the notches cut out. It helps the fabric from like getting these weird puckers and stuff in it. So you'll see as I flip it right side out, I'm going to just kind of take my fingers and press that seam together, and then it just will go all nice and smooth because those notches kind of help the fabric smooth out. Next, we will take our cone and turn it right side out. Then we are going to insert the cone through the center part of our brim so that our seams, our edges match up to one another. And you do want right sides together here, or well, yes, right sides together. And I'm just going to pin this in place before I take it to the sewing machine and sew it together. If you are gluing this, it's probably going to actually be a little easier to do this step because it was a little fiddly sewing it. So my best advice is to not stretch your fabric too much while you're sewing so that you can avoid getting puckers. And this is what it looks like once it's all sewn together. I think this turned out very, very cute, and it fits our pumpkin perfectly. I did decide to add a little bit of embellishment to this, so I just put a little bow and then a curly Q with a star, a wood star on top. Project number 3 is probably my favorite. Well, I have 2 favorites from today's projects. But this one we are going to make some cute little witch shoes. And Michael cut these little witch shoes out for me on the scroll saw, and I will have the pattern for y'all as a free downloadable pattern in the description box below for you. So I'm just going to paint these black, and I am painting the entire surface of these black. We are going to cover these later, but I wanted some of this black to show through, so I went ahead and painted the entire shoe, front and back, and the edges in black. And then Michael also cut out these wonderful little embellishments. He cut some bats and some stars, and I'm also painting these black. Then I'm going to take some scrapbook paper, and we are just going to cut out some socks and then the shoe part in coordinating scrapbook papers. So here I am just cutting out or tracing out the sock part for both shoes. And then I'm going to cut these out and we will glue them onto the shoes. When I cut out these little sock parts, this is scrapbook paper, by the way, that I found at Hobby Lobby. And so when I cut the sock part, I did cut it just a smidge long because the shoe part will cover it up, but we're also going to put some embellishments on this so it will hide the seams in the two different scrapbook papers. Here I am cutting out the shoe part in a different pattern because I really wanted there to be some good contrast between the shoe part and the sock part. And again, I found the scrapbook paper at Hobby Lobby. So I'm just going to cut these, trace the shoe part out, and then I will cut them out, and then we will again glue these to our little wood shoes. I apologize for all my little hair shots. My big head kept getting in the way, and my hair kind of looks like witchy hair today. So we are just going to go ahead and glue these, and I'm just using that all-purpose tacky glue to glue the paper to our shoe part. And then I take just my little sanding board here, it's like an emery board, to rough up the edges a little bit because I kind of wanted them to look a little bit, you know, have that little shabby chic rustic look to them. Next, I am going to start embellishing these shoes, and I did get this is where I had a lot of fun actually. I got a little carried away, but I had a lot of fun embellishing these, and I'm just going to take this tooling that's got some sparkles in it, and I'm going to make some bows, and then I'm going to take some fabrics, just a couple of different fabric styles that I just tore. This is tore fabric. I'm going to make some little bows, glue that on, and then I'm going to embellish this with this cute little flower that I found at Michael's, I believe. Then I'm going to take some wire and make some cute little curly cues and tuck those wires behind our little bat that I glued on there. And I also put a button on the tip of the shoe, and this is what it looks like all finished. So cute. And I'm just going to repeat the same process for the second shoe. I think these came out darling. I really, really love them. For project number 4, we are going to make a super cute witch's broom that's also going to kind of act as like a little witch's broom street sign of sorts. And this is actually my favorite one of all the ones that we did today. So Michael cut out all these little arrows for me, and I went ahead and painted them off camera because I didn't want to bore you with watching me paint. But I will put the colors that I use in the description box below. So I cut 2 arrows, or painted 2 of the arrows in one color, and then I made a black one. And then I'm also going to use some scrapbook paper to kind of fill this in. And I cut my scrapbook paper just a little bit smaller than the actual arrows so that some of the paint and some of the wood would still show through. And this is some of that scrapbook paper that I got at Hobby Lobby. Then I cut out these cute little letters on my cutter, and I'm just going to use some transfer tape to attach them to each of our little arrows. Now, one thing I want to point out here is when you are attaching vinyl letters to paper, peel back your transfer tape very, very slowly so that it does not tear your paper, because you can see right there I did kind of tear my paper just a little bit. But anyway, I'm going to also have a link in the description box for these letters if y'all would like to recreate these on your own. I'm just going to embellish each of our little arrows with a couple of these bats, and I'm just hot gluing them on, and the hot glue holds really well. Then I did make a little bit of a mistake here, y'all, because the paper that I chose for the broom parking arrow did not coordinate well with my black lettering, and I did not have any white vinyl, so I had to use black lettering. And the lettering gets very, very lost in this sign, but I went ahead and went with it anyway because you can kind of see it. Then I'm just going to embellish this one with a little bat, also with a little curlicue. Then I'm going to take this banister. This is like a banister thingy. I'm not sure what you call this actually. It came from a banister. And I did cut part of the top off. And this is where I'm going to add all of our little brooms, and I got these little brooms at Dollar Tree, and I did disassemble them though, because the very first one that I attached when it was all put together, and it's way too bulky, so I disassembled these, and then I'm just going to hot glue them in all the way around in a circumference, and then I just kind of keep layering the little brooms on until I have a nice full fluffy broom, and I do fill in all the little gaps as well with just individual strands of this little broom. Next, I am going to wrap the top of this with some jute to just kind of make it look, put together and held together like the top of a broom usually does. And so I tie this in a very, very tight knot, and then I wrap it around and around and around and around. And I would say I probably wrapped this around about 30 times. And then I'm going to hot glue our little tail end into place to secure it into place. Then we will embellish the top part of our broom to kind of cover up a few more of those little handmade imperfections. And I'm just going to use some tooling and make a cute little bow. And then I'm also going to use some fabric bows and just kind of layer the bows to kind of give it some depth and some dimension, and just cover up some of our little imperfections here. And I did use this fabric that I use is torn fabric. And then I will add a little bat to this and some little curlicues, and you can see those little curlicues up there in the right hand corner that came off of the brooms that I disassembled from Dollar Tree. So I'm also going to use those. I'm going to hot glue some of those on and just kind of make some fun little embellishments all the way around. You could just get as creative as you want with this. The sky is the limit. Now I'm going to attach all of our cute little arrows to this broom, and I do pre-drill all of my holes for the screws so that I don't risk my our little dowel or rod or whatever you want to call this thing, banister rod. I don't want to risk splitting it. So I do pre-drill everything, and then I'm going to screw the arrows in place. And then I needed to make a base for this so that it could stand up on its own. So I just cut out this little wood round on my scroll saw, and I'm going to stain it in some antiquing wax by Waverly. And then I will also screw this to the bottom of our broom so that it can stand freely. And I do pre-drill the holes again to prevent the risk of the wood splitting. I love how this turned out. I think it's probably my most favorite from all of our projects today. Our final project today is going to be a cute little pumpkin bobbing sign. So I have a pond in my little front entrance area, and I thought it would be, oops, I dropped that. Anyway, I thought it would be really fun to create this cute little pumpkin bobbing sign and then add pumpkins to my pond. And then we'll place the sign next to the pond. So I cut out this tag of sorts on the scroll saw, and then I'm going to add this wood ring to the top, and I'm just hot gluing it on to kind of give it that finished tag look. Then I also cut out this just rectangular sign, and I embellished it with some scrapbook paper, and then I'm going to add some letters that I cut out on my cutter. These are just vinyl letters, and when you are adhering vinyl to paper, I recommend that you be very, very careful and slow with when you peel back your transfer tape so as not to tear your paper. I hope that made sense. Anyway, then I'm going to hot glue this to our little tag. I just kind of get it positioned the way I want it. I'm going to hot glue it on, and then I'm going to I cut out these other little things that pumpkin bobbing 10 cents. I'm going to adhere those to the bottom part of our sign. And then I'm going to just embellish this with some cute little pumpkins. I found these cute pumpkin cutouts at Michael's. They were like 60% off. So I bought some of those, and then I'm going to paint them in this fun little orange color, and we will attach them to this sign. And it turns out really cute. I think you guys are gonna love this one. As I was adding these little cute pumpkin cutouts, I decided they needed a little extra embellishment because, you know, you can never have too much embellishment. So I took some of this little floral wire and wrapped it around my dowel to kind of make a curly Q, and then I tucked it in behind that pumpkin. Then I'm going to just wrap our sign in some cream color jute or white jute, whatever you want to call this, to kind of give it that like cobwebby effect. It's not really like a cobweb, but it kind of just gives it that effect. And I wrapped that around, and then I hot glued it in the back to secure it in place. And then I took a couple more of these pumpkins and added them in. And with this one here, I wrapped the wire around the stem to just kind of give it that just a little something extra. Then I attached it, curled the wire at the end, and then this final little pumpkin I'm going to add with also some little curly Q wire, because I think the curly Qs just add a cute fun element to the pumpkins. And then I'm going to put a little ribbon on this just because, you know, I feel like our tag has to have a ribbon. And then I have this little stake that Michael cut out for me that's going to be attached to the back of this so that we can, you know, stake it into the ground. And I stained this with just some antiquing glaze by Waverly, and then I'm going to hot glue this and wood glue it to the back so it's got extra hold and it will not come apart. And this is how it came out. I love it. So cute. Let's take a final peekaboo at all the projects that we made today. I love them all. It is so hard for me to pick a favorite because at the end of the day, I end up loving them all pretty much equally. So they came out so cute. But y'all, let me know in the comments below which of these projects is your favorite.
Alrighty friends, well that is going to wrap up today's video. I really had fun. I hope you guys had fun. I love craft day. Craft day it's my favorite day. Anytime I get to hang out in the studio and do some crafting, it just makes me happy. So I hope that y'all had fun with this too, and that you were inspired to make a few of these projects that we worked on today and maybe add them to your Halloween decor if you celebrate Halloween or decorate for Halloween. Anyway, friends, I had fun. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and spending time with me today. It was fun. And I know I've said that like a whole bunch of times. Anyway, I am looking forward to next week. We are going to kick off our holiday season. Can y'all believe that, you know, Thanksgiving and Christmas is kind of literally just around the corner? I just feel like this whole year, 2022, has gone by so fast. What happened to the year? So we're going to kick off. I'm very excited. Christmas is definitely my favorite time of year. It's my favorite time of year for decorating. So that's what we're going to start next week. We'll start off with some Thanksgiving projects and then move right into Christmas in the weeks following and do some Christmas crafting as well as a lot of Christmas decorating. So I look forward to seeing y'all again next week. Until then, y'all take care and I'll see you soon. Bye.